Ladies and gentlemen, the most transformative sport event on earth is about to begin.
Those who are in the stadium are on their feet.
It's just a long, niggly climb.
Because it is desperation now. And there it is.
Gold! What a result! Another remarkable athlete about to write another chapter in Paralympic history.
Bonjour, and welcome to day 0 of the Paris 2024 Paralympics on Keep the Flame Alive, the podcast for fans of the Olympics and Paralympics. I am your host, Jill Jarris, joined as always with my lovely co-host, Alison Brown. Alison, bonjour.
Bonjour, here we are.
We are here.
And the party has started.
It has. I don't know if I'd call it a party yet. I'd call it a gathering, because that's the kind of ceremonies we had tonight.
We'll get to that.
We'll get that. Let's just begin the baguette.
So both of us had early starts today and going in opposite directions.
We did. I went to the Paris Media Center because the torch relay was going through there. Now, the Paralympic torch relay has been a very short one. It started in Stoke Mandeville. The flame came through the Channel and then split up into multiple routes to get all across France, which is really cool.
They made 12 flames to represent the 12 days of the Paralympics, because even though we said it was day 0, the Paralympics count today as 1. So if you get confused about what day it is, just work with us here, because we're confused.
When we just got started, this is great. We're already confused. So for Paris, I will say this. The sidewalk around the Paris Media Center is usually clean because they have our Clean Streets segment that they like to do for the Paris Media Center, one of their theme days, and they have a street cleaner there. And so the sidewalks are pretty clean around the Paris Media Center, and they buffed them again before the torch relay showed up.
Well, to be fair, don't you clean the house before people come over?
That is very true. So they were making it look spick and span. So the light came in, the lantern came in one side of the building, and there was a torchbearer there named Ghislaine Westphal-Nick, who is the president of the French Paralympic Sport and the VP of the French Paralympic Committee. So she is a bigwig. She has a book out, because I saw the book in somebody else's hand. And then she passed it. She came through the media center about halfway to the big main open hall.
Okay.
Down the center of the big main room, and passed it off to Elodie Clovel, who won the silver medal in modern pentathlon. So that was cool, because I saw her compete, and she had her silver medal, and I gotta say, silver medal is beautiful, with the Eiffel Tower in there.
And the contrasting iron.
Yeah.
The colors.
Yeah, oh, it looks fantastic. She is also a gendarme, I understand.
Oh.
Yes.
Probably the only gendarme in Paris that wasn't working tonight.
Probably got called into duty. She passed it off. She left the Paris Media Center, and I don't know if she passed it off to a woman in a wheelchair, because there was a fourth person there that I did not see, because they then went down the block in front of the Paris Media Center where we enter. And then she passed it off to somebody named Thibault, and this was a man in an exoskeleton, which was really cool, but then I couldn't figure out who he was, and I asked around, and somebody said it was Thibault Simon, who was a water polo player, but I found the player, but I couldn't find any mention of some sort of accident, because he was an Olympic water polo player at Rio 2016. But then I also found somebody else with the surname Thibault that is doing this exoskeleton thing. So I'm not quite sure who it was, but...
and gee, they didn't give you a sheet or anything
No.
with the people?
No.
They didn't give you the information for the event you're attending?
No, and it was a very French day. It was hard to get a little bit of English. So that was the way it was. So it was cool to see the torch. I will say I did get a little teary when it came through the center. We got hustled and bustled around from place to place. It was like, no, the flame is going over here first. Go over there. I'm like, well, I will give up my spot. That's really good here, and I'm short, and I forgot my little selfie stick, which really holds my phone well. And we just kind of shuffled from place to place with everybody. But it was cool to see. Once it got done with the end, they got to the end of the block. They put the flame back in the lantern, and that was it. I don't know where the flame went after that. But if you're in the Facebook group, you have seen some video. You've seen pictures of the lantern with the flame in it. You've seen pictures of me with the torch.
You just love this torch. So every time the torch is near you, you photograph yourself with the torch.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Any torch. It didn't have to be the Paris 2024. It's not this one specifically. It's a torch.
Well, this one is a particular favorite of yours, it feels like.
I don't know. It's okay. I've seen better.
Wow, we are really cranky tonight.
What did you do today?
So today I went and took a very long train ride out to the Team USA High Performance Center. So what Team USA did is they rented a sports facility, kind of rehabbed it and upgraded it, and brought a whole bunch of people from Colorado Springs so that while the athletes, both Olympic and Paralympic, are here, they have all the training facilities that they are used to.
Which is a pretty sweet deal.
You know, one of the things, because we did get to talk to a few athletes, and I'll get to that in a second, a lot of them said, this is so great because we have facilities on our schedule. There's no sharing. There's no scheduling. There's no planning. If they want to go train, they can just hop on the bus. There's a bus that runs between the village and the center.
Oh.
They go directly and just train. They have a track and field, a full track, full field, and several indoor gyms. And then there's weight rooms and treatment rooms, and they have a huge nutrition program.
Nice.
So you can eat the same food that you're used to from the Colorado Springs Training Center if you happen to live there or train there. And the chef came over and planned the menus and makes food available. So I know we heard a lot during the Olympics about the food in the village.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like, at least for Team USA, they had a backup. Not a bad thing. So a few of the people that we got to see today happened to be our Chef-Lastanis. So I saw Justin Fong-Savon and goalball player Callahan Young. And I almost tackled sitting volleyball player Laura Webster to get a chance to say hello, because she wasn't our official person who was going to talk about sitting volleyball. That was Sydney Satchel, who's the libero. But when I saw Laura, I was like, hi. I don't know if you remember me, but she was so sweet.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not sure she remembered me. I think she did because she gave me a hug. So my day was made.
Very good.
But Justin is in excellent spirits, really excited to compete, feeling good. Callahan had a little accident with a fence. So
no.
But we decided that we're not going to talk about the fence. We're going to say that he rescued some children from a protest near the Eiffel Tower. He just got a little cut over his eye. It's not a big deal, but he said the mask right now is a little uncomfortable.
Ooh,
because it's just hitting him right in that spot. And Laura looks fantastic. The sitting volleyball team was so enthusiastic in their training. Oh, and I saw Ellen Geddes, our wheelchair fencer.
Nice.
So it was really great to see the facility, and also highlights how being the USOPC makes such a difference for the American Paralympians. The advantage that they have and the access to resources that they have is incredible. And I think it makes a big difference in results.
Excellent. Which was good that we both had fun mornings, because we did get the opening ceremonies was today. It turned into a high demand ticket event, and we both ended up getting ticketed for it, which meant we needed to get a special high demand ticket event sticker. And that meant going back to the main press center, which we didn't really ever want to go to again. And luckily you got in before I did, which is probably a good thing since I did a lot of interdeet stuff yesterday.
That's true. You got more annoyed than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
I was irritated. You were aggravated.
Yes. I have more equipment out than you do usually.
Right.
So-
Exactly. So I was able to get in. And one of the things we mentioned yesterday was how there's security you go through, but then there's also like old school office building security where you have to scan in and scan to the elevator. But we aren't given any of that. So somebody has to do it for you, but there's nobody necessarily around to do it for you. So I went the method of I had to get to the first floor, which is not 0 because it's Europe. So I had to get on the elevator. So I don't have a pass. I can't pick a floor. So I just got on the elevator and rode the elevator until somebody else stopped on the first floor and got off because I couldn't press the button.
So glad I was not there for this.
But I was able to pick up both of our stickers, so it all worked out, and we got to the opening ceremony.
We did get to the opening ceremony, which we will get to in a minute. Do you have a volunteer job that you would like to do?
I do. Today at the High Performance Center, there was a assistant coach working with the sitting volleyball team who collects the volleyballs, but he didn't just collect the volleyballs. He had to catch the volleyballs. So they would sort of finish with the last shot, and he would try and catch it in this giant box rolling on wheels.
Oh, nice.
And so he had some skill involved in catching the ball.
I love it. I will say there were about 25 million torch relay people around the Paris Media Center today. But what I would like to do is a job at the opening ceremonies, which would be to accompany a team as they walk the parade route. Because as teams came, because the teams all came down the Champs-Élysées, they got to walk in front of the public, and then they came into the stadium, and all the teams had one or more volunteers with them. I'm sure just in case they needed help with something. But I would like to do that because I would have liked to see the public parade myself.
Yeah, we really didn't get too many shots of it even in the stadium. Like while we were waiting for things to start, they didn't put that on the screen. So people at home probably saw way more of that parade than we did.
Yeah. And we would love to know what you do see of that parade if you watched it. I would not be surprised if NBC had little shots cut in of Team USA going down the route. So that would be kind of cool to know about. What would also be cool is if you could help support the show, because we are here as an independent media outlet, which also means we need independent financing to make the show happen. We've been here for over a month, and we've got a couple more weeks to go. And we love bringing you the spirit of the games and what it's like to be at the games in person for everyone who cannot be here, and bring you the sports and the stories of the athletes. But it does cost money for us to be here. So if you could support us, if you enjoy the show and what you're listening to, please consider giving. You can find a variety of ways at flamealivepod.com/support. There's PayPal, there's Venmo. If you'd like a one-time donation, we suggest maybe $20.24, fitting for the year. So if you'd like ongoing patronage, the Patreon site is patreon.com/flamealivepod. There's a link on our support page. All paid patrons get a special photo of the day that does not go anywhere else. It's exclusive. And then if you are at the $5 a month level and up, you get exclusive video. I am posting some stuff that was left over from the Olympics right now, and I've got an audio postcard that I want to make, or two. So look for that to come, because I'm hoping to get some good venue table seating time soon. There's always a little time to make some stuff happen. So that's all. You can find that at flamealivepod.com/support. Thank you to everyone who supported us during the Olympics. It means so much to us. Helps keep our flame alive, and keeps the show going, even when the games are not on and through to the next. All right, opening ceremonies.
So we went back to Place de la Concorde, and as I mentioned yesterday, it is not the Place de la Concorde that we remember.
No, it is not. It is not. It is in a way, because a lot of the seating stayed. So I could tell that the 3x3/breaking seats were the same, and they didn't move them. because they were kind of in a horseshoe shape around a circle or a half court. And I could tell the like kind of 90-degree angle that was BMX freestyle and one of the skate parks. And then they added some seating in as well.
They kept talking about how this is the first of its kind Paralympic opening ceremony not in a stadium. But here's what they did. They just built a temporary stadium.
Yeah. And you know what? Put it back in a stadium.
It was, to nobody's surprise, it was a nightmare to get there because there are no formal entrances. They blocked off a lot of streets. Mm-hmm. It was extremely difficult, again, no surprise, for us to find where to be. But once we were in our tribune seating, we could see the spectator entrance, and the show had started, and there was, how many would you say? A couple hundred people still waiting to get in?
Yeah.
So getting people into the not stadium was extremely inefficient, and I'm sure very frustrating for spectators, because just as we couldn't find where to go, and gendarme and police were sending us away and no, you can't go down the street and you have to go 3 blocks up the other way, they were doing it to everyone.
Yeah. I will say once we were in the venue and going to the tribune seating, oh my gosh, there were volunteers who knew who we were, like as in terms of media and where we needed to sit, and they had a little sign that said media seating this way, and they were happy to help us. They knew exactly what to do, and they're like, go this way and you'll see another volunteer with a sign just like this. And it happened. It was exactly as they said.
It was basically at the interchanges where you could get confused.
Yes.
They had a person standing there, and very obviously standing there, and then could direct us to the next interchange.
And
then we hit the Tribune, and the Tribune volunteer was fantastic.
Yes, was like, there's no seats, but let me look. And then magically made 2 seats appear together for us, because she's like, I don't know if I could do 2 together. And we're like, that's fine. We can be apart. But she made it happen. And I don't know where they got these can-do volunteers and signage, but and I hate to be so amazed by this, but it was so nice. It was nice.
It was such a drastic difference.
Yes.
To strike you. So I'm hoping will continue. I'm not going to be greedy. I will take it for tonight.
Yes, right. So another good thing about the ceremonies, because I would like to have some positive stuff to say. Hot day today, but a perfect night.
Beautiful.
It was a beautiful night for the ceremonies. And there were times where, I wish we could have seen this, because when they showed the Arc de Triomphe and the parade on the screen, which was rare, but the sunset behind it was beautiful. We couldn't see the Eiffel Tower, but when it was lit up, it was beautiful. The time of day and the changing of day with the magic hour on the obelisk in the Place de la Concorde was beautiful. And there were moments where I'm like, I am sitting in Paris and watching this amazing show. And it's kind of like, it doesn't get better than this. It would be better if the show was better. But
we'll get to that.
Yeah. But it was just like the perfect atmosphere, I will say.
Agreed. And the idea of putting a temporary stadium in the center of the city like this was a brilliant idea. Mm-hmm. And it was, like you said, a wonderful atmosphere. It was just annoying how they kept saying, never been done, never been done.
Yes.
If you had left out that language, we would have loved that aspect. Oh, look, they made a temporary stadium right in the middle of the city, and they're using the Champs-Élysées as part of the show, and they're using the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe and the obelisk and all these elements, and the Seine in a way, because we were right there, that are so central to the city that you don't get at the Stade de France.
Right. I will say that all of the temporary seating that they left and put up was then at odd angles for the show, because they didn't bother to move it to make a real stadium. It was a very angled stadium. So if you were stuck sitting in the 3x3 braking section, there were parts where I don't think you ever saw the stage. and maybe you had screens in front of you or something. I don't know. It was awkward, and there were like dead areas, I thought, that were in the stage. What they did for staging wise, if you haven't seen it yet, they put a very long stage through
Like
the
an
middle.
oval.
Yeah.
Around the obelisk.
Yes, around the obelisk. At each end of the oval, there were 2 circular screens that they had multiple screens on them, but they were made to be circular. They were also launch pads for fireworks later. And then they had big speaker and light towers, which also blocked views in ways that a traditional stadium does not. So that was a pain, I thought. Then the oval stadium, or the oval stage, was multi-tiered with both stairs and ramps, which was kind of cool because they used different elements of the stage, but not too much, I thought.
It could have been more. And yet saying anything about this could have been more. I want to shoot myself just saying those words. Because, and I know you wanted to stay positive, but let's say this. About 3 hours and 45 minutes of bloated, arrogant self-importance.
Oh my gosh, this was so long. And, okay, so not all the stands were full. There was a big empty section near us, and I saw other empty seats. People started leaving early. They started leaving maybe even pre-Parade of Nations. And then they didn't even stay for the cauldron lighting. They were out of there. At 11 o'clock, people were flying out of that building.
Well, because the trains close.
The trains closed. We did walk 2.5 kilometers home.
Because there was no train, no bus, no nothing.
Right.
It was hoof it or
right.
sleep in the stadium.
And thank goodness we're in our hotel room tonight. And thank goodness we can record here, to be quite honest.
I don't know where we would have just recorded on the street, I think. With all the gendarmes.
Yeah, right. But I will say also the way the speaker towers were set up, because the music was really loud, the way that was set up and the way the stands were set up, it was really difficult to feel any energy.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because I thought it was me. I thought it was like, oh, I'm being cranky and tired.
No.
Because it didn't feel... And yet we saw groups of spectators reacting, trying to get things going. That we had a fantastic group of Danish fans in front of us that were just great. And then a group of French fans to the side. So when the French team came out. But it felt very flat.
Yeah, it and I don't know what it felt like in other parts of the stadium, but
or
yeah,
through the TV.
Yes, and through the TV might be totally different experience, but yeah, we had the French fans to our right who clapped for everybody. They were really excited. Same with the stand kind of right next to us. They were clapping for everybody, and of course, when the French team came out, they were super pumped for that. We had these Danish people in front of us who were so excited. They had flags, they had balloons, they had streamers that they threw all over the stands. It was phenomenal. There was a few Brazilians. Team Canada tried to come and get a wave started. They tried, and it's just, I hope that when teams entered, they felt some sort of love. And because from what I saw, the only real response that I felt was for Palestine.
Huge response for Palestine.
For the refugee team.
Yes.
And then for Team France. I mean, USA got a little bit. Great Britain got a little bit. There were a few German fans who were just like, we cannot get to the Germany team to let show them that we're here and waving our flags. Oh, and Ukraine got an amazing response, and the Ukrainian team is huge.
It was, but I think also, and I noticed this when the Canadian team came in yet again, and the British team, a lot of not marchers. I think all of Ukraine marched.
Oh, okay, and a lot of athletes left early, and we could just figure that, oh, they've got to compete tomorrow or they've got to compete soon, and they were not sticking around.
And what was funny, once that cauldron got lit, the athlete stands emptied real fast.
Yes.
They were not staying around for the closing number.
Right. So started off with a welcome to Paris which I thought was really cute. It's somebody that's not familiar to me. His name is Théo Curin. He has a show here in France called Théo Le Taxi. So he drives a taxi around, and it sounds like either it's a cab confessions or carpool karaoke kind of thing without the singing.
He's also a Paralympian.
Yes, he is a Paralympian. So that was cool, and they did a whole really cute thing with developing a car with friesias all over it, and the car drove in, and he said it was like the welcome to Paris guy. And that I thought was really cute once you knew the backstory to that. We had, you introduce Emmanuel Macron, President Macron, and Andrew Parsons, the president of the IPC, very quick. Then we got into the Discord opening number.
I am so sorry for Book Club Claire watching more pianos be sacrificed for an opening ceremony. I could not believe that was it steaming or were they on fire? What?
They weren't on fire because I
there
would
a
say
smoke
heaven forbid have the CO2 emissions that flames produce. But we will come to find out later on that there is a whole long dance number with actual torches, a lot of actual torches, and yet then we go and lit an electric light.
So the pianos were steaming or smoking, and then the dancers are dancing on the pianos.
Yeah, it was
yet again, somebody needs to tell Thomas Joly no.
Right.
So long and bloated. That number could have been a third of the length, and it would have been way more effective.
Almost every segment could have been a third of the length. And I don't know why they decided they timed this out for us, and everything you saw like 7-minute dance segment, 8-minute dance segment, 16-minute dance. And you're like, oh, this is going to run long. And it ran way long, and it was not interesting.
And it supposedly had a storyline. There was supposed to be a storyline between the people who were not inclusive and then the more creative people who were also had disabilities were supposed to be fighting for inclusivity. But honestly, it felt like that whole first segment really rubbed me the wrong way. Really felt like they were mocking people with disabilities.
I'm surprised you could see the people with disabilities. So we have to say that it was choreographed by a man named Alexander Ekman, and he used 140 dancers and 16 disabled dancers. And I will say that, first off, if you've got a Paralympic committee who's got a We the 15 campaign, because 15% of the world's population is disabled, 16 is not 15% of 140.
It's not even close. No. I mean, this felt like a big step backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little tiny group of disabled performers, and they were called the Creative Gang.
In English, right.
Yeah, in English. And then the other people were the
Strict Society.
And they looked like they were dressed as
Men in Black,
but David Byrne size suits. So it was really weird. And in French, because we thought, well, maybe that's a weird translation, right? So in French, they are two distinct groups, La Creative Gang et La Strict Society. I'm not kidding. I'm reading this from the opening ceremony.
Just the whole concept of this opening ceremony felt backwards.
Yeah, and it was one of those, like, the strict society's dancing around, we're dancing around, then they see the creative gang and their eyes open. Whoa. And honest to Pete, the 140 dancers, there were too many dancers for me for the size of that stage, because you couldn't really see what was going on. And because it was an oval and there was a lot of things interfering with your sight lines, that made it more difficult to see what was going on. And it just looked like a big black mob and then a little tiny colorful group.
It felt dismissive.
Then we had a flyover. That was cool.
All of a sudden, everyone's jumping up and turning around, and I'm hearing this noise, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And then the flyover. I have to say, I don't think I've ever been under a flyover in person before. Maybe since I was a kid, at some Blue Angels show. that gets in your gut.
It does. It's awesome.
You feel it.
Right.
And that was amazing.
And I understand that it's not for everybody, but it's something that I thought was a cool moment. Then we had our Parade of Nations. Very long.
Very long.
Very, very long. A lot of space in between some nations, I will say that.
I think when they re-air it, we're going to tighten that baby up.
Right. They had floor maintenance going on during the show. So while the nations paraded in, and then they marched around the oval stage on a flat floor. And while that was happening, there were workers sweeping the stage off.
And more importantly, while that was happening, we had the Frige.
Oh,
so right before the Parade of Nations, this army of Frige, how many would you say, a dozen?
at least maybe 15 or so. Yeah.
Frige, both Olympic and Paralympic, came out and were on the oval stage. During the entire hour and a half.
It was longer than an hour. It was supposed to be about an hour and a half, and it was
closer
longer.
to 2 hour. Parade of Nations. They were dancing, playing Duck, Duck, Goose, line dancing, all kinds of games going on with the Frige. And they never rested. Several Frige went down and got picked up. I don't know if any of the Frige antics made it onto television. I hope they did. They were interacting with the DJ.
Yes, there was a DJ in a red, white, and blue coat, or blue, white, and red, I guess would be more proper to say because it was French flag. And it had a train that went across most of the stage. And the Friges were there to kind of be entertainment while you waited for the nations to come around. But they didn't let up. And then part of me went, nobody told them this was supposed to be an hour and a half. Because I think some went down on purpose.
Yeah, at one point Duck, Duck, Goose got a little long. And they kind of sat there for a while. And then they were bowling with popcorn. Like they brought out props.
Yeah.
And I think there was also like some rolling of Friges along the ground.
It was a little bizarre, but it was also nice to have. Because it took a while for the nations to come around, and they were seated in different sections. So kind of like they did make a whole loop of the stage, and then somehow they went back under and had to go be seated on the other side. It was very weird. I think it was very long for some people. I will say when the Team France came out, it was a best of Olympic soundtrack. We sang all of the sing-along songs.
All of the sing-alongs. All the Champs-Élysées. I didn't even know half of them. I didn't know any of the words. I didn't care. I sang what I knew. The crowd really got into it. And the flag bearer for France really got into it, as did the entire French team. So that's what you want for a home team, to have that moment.
Exactly. When the parade was finally over. Anything else on the parade?
I had a couple shout outs since people expect me to comment on the uniforms.
Yes.
I do want to say both China and Korea
looked
really good.
Korea looked really good.
Ethiopia had the dresses and the shirts with that beautiful material. Mm-hmm. You got very excited about Indonesia because they had kind of a traditional costume, but these crowns.
Yes, they were fancy, and a traditional dress that wasn't flag colors, if I remember that correctly.
No, it was more golden, if I have that right on my notes. Estonia with the denim maxi skirt, aka your middle school music teacher,
or your high school me.
That's true too. But I think our favorite might have been Venezuela's star suits.
Oh, man, you could see those a mile away. They were good stage outfits. I will say that. But there were some lovely dresses, like when we saw Croatia that had a kind of the checkerboard from the flag, but it was white and some kind of off-white or gray and just looked stunning in a dress.
Poland also did a beautiful dress.
Yes.
With that red and white fabric. That they also had multi-options. They could have a blouse, they could have a shirt, they could have a dress.
Yeah.
But a lot of nice dresses.
Yes. We did see a lot of polos and saw a lot of kind of like it's back to school. But we did see some really, really good outfits that seemed to be different than the Olympic counterparts. Although, because they were on boats, I didn't really see too much.
And a lot of the people had plastic over them.
Yes.
But Mongolia, the famous Mongolian outfits did come back.
Oh, good. Okay, so then we had the national anthem, a new version of the national anthem, which was longer.
But it was nice.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I will say, when we stood up, somebody in our row let out the biggest fart. It was like, really?
I did not notice that, and now the Marseillaise is ruined for me.
I know. Then we had our speeches. We had a video that seemed like it was a video for commercial breaks, for lack of a better phrase. But that was okay. It was different people talking about being a person with disability and how they got treated and how they learned to accept their body and things like that, which is kind of interesting in a way. I
liked it.
Did you? Okay.
I thought it was effective, and I thought it was a nice use of video because there always has to be some element there when they're resetting the stage or reorganizing the dancers, or just to give your brain a break from the stage show. I thought it was quite effectively done.
Okay, good. Then we went on to a segment called Sportography, which was the dancers were back.
Yes. And there was one segment, and I'm confused now because I thought it came before that, when Lucky Love sang.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I think I missed that.
The performer who is disabled himself, I thought was the best segment of the whole artistic program because the song was catchy. It highlighted the people with disabilities are people who do things. Mm-hmm. That whole idea of We the 15, that same campaign, like, we're not inspirational. We want to be singers. We want to be dancers. We want to do our thing. And I thought that was, I liked the song. And it wasn't overdone. And it felt like the right length of time. See, you forgot it because it didn't annoy you.
Probably. Well, I thought it was a little long. I thought everything was a little long.
Everything was a little long. Yeah, fair enough.
But
then we got to sportography. That is the part of the section that I saw. The one little section, not when they have the boxing helmets on, but when they first do the little boxing dance before they come off and come back on with the crutches. Are they crutches
yeah,
or walking?
Crutches.
Okay, they were crutches. Before they come on with the crutches is what I saw. So literally 3 minutes of the show.
Okay. All right. This was also long and forever taking. Could we have more deep and meaningful music? All the music for these things got to be really slow. Maybe that's why the Lucky Love was a little bit better, because it was a little more upbeat. And I get that we're in the opening ceremonies, which is usually a lot more solemn, and the closing ceremonies is a bigger celebration. But they really took solemn to a new level with this music.
And one thing that we found frustrating was white costumes, white stage, very bright white lighting. I wonder how that translated onto television. It didn't translate well on the screens that we were looking at. And it certainly didn't translate well to the naked eye.
No. It was so hard to see what was going on with this at all. And there was a dancer who lives with crutches dancing and showing the rest of the people how this worked. So they came on with their crutches. I don't know what the boxing had to do with it.
I did like the concept of able-bodied dancers dancing with the crutches with the dancers with disabilities. But man, that could have been, we're going to keep saying this. It got lost because it just kept going.
Well, it kept going, and then I noticed the able-bodied dancers were dancing with the crutches, not using the crutches. They were just kind of whipping them around, and they were staying on their 2 feet. And I thought, well, I don't know how long they rehearsed, and I don't know how hard it is to learn how to do this with crutches, but it was long. It was hard, and it became less effective the longer it went.
Yes.
That was really, really tough. I did note that there were times we did a lot of clapping during the Parade of Nations as teams came out. Usually in the press tribune, people don't clap because journalists try to be impartial, so they try to show not too much emotion. You'll see some when their country comes out clap and get excited, or they'll get excited during a game when their country's doing well. But boy, this was one segment where I was glad to be a journalist and not have to clap for it. I hate to say that, but it was long. And again, the able-bodied dancers just started overpowering the disabled dancers, and how cool they showed us. I mean, it was so cool what they showed us. And it just got drowned out by this mass of people. I don't know. Tough. Paralympic flag, an anthem. With the Paralympic anthem does have words. We did not hear them tonight.
We heard some unbelievable screeching.
Yes.
Of noise.
Right. And then the Paralympic flag went up. Again, we have bad flag fans because they tried really, really hard with the French flag, with the flag.
They did. They seemed to, and I think they tried really hard with the Paralympic flag. It's just the flag waving technology is not up to par. And I do not understand why this is, like, I want to understand why getting a flag to fly with the picturesque waving is so difficult. What about that is hard?
It must be the size of the flag and the power of the fan. That the fan may not be powerful enough for the size flag they've chosen. I also have a conspiracy theory that they didn't really put a flag fan on the Paralympic flag because they were not convinced that whoever was holding it could get it right side up after the whole Olympic flag thing. That's my conspiracy theory, and I will stick with it for the moment. Because I was glued to that flag going, did they get that right? But I could never tell because it couldn't fly correctly. Then we finally got to the arrival of the flame.
So we knew that the cauldron was going to be a return to the balloon that was in the Tuileries, which is not far from where we were, but it is not there.
Right.
So the flame comes into the stadium, and I think I turned to you and said, wait a second, why is the flame here? Doesn't it have to go to the Tuileries? Meaning the flame would have to come in and then go out.
Yes, but we as an audience, I think, needed to see the flame arrive.
So the flame arrived, but then it didn't go out.
No, it stuck around. It stayed. It stayed like if you've ever seen the ballet The Nutcracker. Several different torchbearers, because the torch got passed to 3 people. There was Bebe Vio was one of them, and Oksana Masters was
and
one.
then a French Paralympian, and then the person who brought it in. So there was 4 in the Knott Stadium.
Yes. And along with them was another cadre of dancers, maybe the 140, who had their own torches.
I thought that place was going up.
And they were real flames. And that just made me angry because they're dancing around with their torches and their real flames, emitting all the CO2 into the air. And yet we get balloon light for the next 2 weeks.
So when the torch dancers came in and were dancing around the obelisk, I was thinking, are we trying to summon a demon?
It was rough. It was rough. And everybody who was a torch bearer had to sit there and watch them dance for a while.
Right. They didn't it wasn't like they did this dance while the torch was getting to the balloon.
No, it was pass the flame, watch us dance. Pass the flame, watch us dance some more.
But you forgot the most important thing about this segment.
Which was?
What music did they play for them to dance to?
Bolero. Bolero. Oh, my. You could pick a longer, slower song. I don't think so. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. I do have to go back to the sportography thing, because I will say that's when they put projection mapping in, and it was very cool. They did
projection mapped on the obelisk.
That was very, very cool. They projection mapped on the floor, and the dancers did different sports, and that one of the most effective one was the canoeing or rowing.
Yes, where it seemed like the dancers were in boats on the water, but they
Very
were just
effective.
sitting on the floor.
Exactly. So that was very cool if you saw that and thought that as well. Back to Bolero. I mean, seriously, it's the only people who have a right to Bolero anymore in my mind are Torval and Dean.
It's of all the songs by French composers, there are thousands. Why would you pick something, one, that is based on a Spanish musical theme, and two, that just feels like a death march?
Yeah.
And the version they played also was not the chippiest. Not that Bolero's ever chippy.
No, but it was long and slow, and I felt bad for the torchbearers because they looked kind of awkward. And poor Oksana Masters was standing on like a little tiny set of stairs.
It was like a little mini pedestal. But it must have been bouncing from all the dancers, because you said right away, she looks terrified. And I said, she keeps reaching out and trying to adjust herself. She looked like she was going to fall.
So yeah, that was thank goodness she didn't. I will say
Can
that.
you imagine? She would have set herself on fire with the 1,200 torches all around. Not that we get a cauldron.
Not that we can have that. The other issue that we had was they could not put the names of the people on the screen.
We only knew Bebe Villo and Oksana Masters because we recognized them from our own fandom.
Yes. And then they did put the final cauldron lighters on, but in a we couldn't read it on the screen. They didn't use the typical OBS font, and it
was very small.
Yeah, very small, white and blue, and it just was difficult to read. So I don't know who lit the torch, who lit the cauldron. Sorry,
but they finally got there.
They did. We have the balloon went up and everybody was happy. Everybody is walking home. People are taking pictures of the balloon. It is, I will say, it is an amazingly successful cauldron for being a light. No, not that. No, but I mean the design of the cauldron and the symbolism of the balloon and what.
And it goes up in the evenings and it comes down and people can visit it.
Yes, people can visit and they can be around it, and it is a wonder. It is delightful to look at in the air, and it's nice that it's bringing people together, and I think people really love this symbol and what it stands for.
Earlier in the day, you had mentioned and reminded me of that amazing story that Tokyo did with the plane with one wing. And how they integrated the whole idea, one of disability, into a fairy tale. And how they used performers with disabilities in a way that didn't feel so virtue signaling. Mm-hmm. And with that in my head, I watched this.
Yeah, I'm sorry I brought that up. Because thinking about it now, it still makes me want to cry. It was such a beautiful ceremony. The opening and closing ceremonies for Tokyo were just so beautiful.
But even for Beijing, those were short. So
yes.
But what they did was ended up being so effective because the opening and the closing came together as a story.
Yes.
God, I do not want the story to come back in closing.
You don't need the strict society to come back? Because they aren't strict anymore. That's the thing. The creative game changed them.
This is something that we would have seen in 1998.
Yeah.
That's why it made me angry, because the Paralympics and the Paralympic movement have come so incredibly far. And the idea that we're using people with disabilities to change the strict society feels so backwards.
Yeah, it just should be.
Like, why are we starting again with this inspiration stuff? Mm-hmm. Why are we going back to that?
Athletes, you got a job to do. Just be your sporty selves, and maybe that'll change. Maybe that's what French think, because There's not accessibility has been a big drive here in the last 7 years, and they've had to do a lot of work to get a little bit of accessibility. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what we can learn about how the society at large here changes or learns just in this time period, getting to watch them in person.
Or just how the fans react at the events. Are they reacting the same way or differently than for Olympic events?
Well, I think if you're French, you're just constantly rooting for France. It does not matter who you are.
And I think that's perfect.
I do too. It's going to be great. They're all excited already. It's going to
Allez
be
les bleus, allez les bleus.
Well, you know who I'm excited about?
Tell me.
Our new mascot.
Our new mascot. So we have new mascots for the Paralympics. And first up are Sunny and Sadie, our first guinea pig mascots.
I love that.
So you'll have some pictures and some stories coming on our social medias and in our newsletter and on the show for the first week of the Paralympics. So special thank you to our listener, Don, for supporting our Kickstarter campaign that got us to Paris and got us these fantastic guinea pig mascots.
Thank you, Don. All right. Competition starts tomorrow. Big full day schedule, and we've got a lot of TKFLASTANis in action.
We do. So Alison Levine has 2 matches in women's boccia pool play.
Matt Stutzman competes in the ranking round of men's individual compound open archery.
Samantha Bosco races in track paracycling women's C4 and 500-meter time trial.
Olivia Chambers swims in the women's S13 100-meter butterfly.
We have 2 people playing in para table tennis, Melissa Tapper and partner Trevor Hirth in mixed doubles, and Ian Seidenfeld and his men's doubles partner, Tal Leibovitz, both begin with a round of 32.
Brian Bell and Team USA's men's wheelchair basketball face off against Spain.
And hey, Takaoki's playing tomorrow. He and Team USA Wheelchair Rugby will have their first game against Canada.
What a doozy to start off with.
Guess who's going to be there?
I don't know. Maybe you?
Maybe me.
Gonna be good. And listeners, you are going to look forward to that report tomorrow. That will do it for this episode. Let us know what you thought about the opening ceremonies.
You can find us on X, YouTube, and Instagram at FlameAlivePod. Send us an email at flamealivepod@gmail.com. Call or text us at 208-352-6348. That's 208-FLAME-IT. You can chat with us and other fans on our Facebook group, Keep the Flame Alive Podcast. And to get our special daily Games Time newsletter, sign up at our website, flamealivepod.com.
And just when you thought this episode is over, it's not. It's going to go on and on just a little bit because yesterday I forgot to put on Marcel Hug and Matt Stutzman's audio. So I will have that on the end of this episode so you can hear what I learned from them at my trip to the Paralympic Village yesterday. And then you can join us again tomorrow for more action from Paris. Please do not forget to tell a friend about the show and hang out with us in the Facebook group because it is hopping already with everyone who is so excited for these games. Thank you so much for listening, and until tomorrow, keep the flame alive.
Will you be better again in Paris?
That will be very difficult because in Tokyo it was perfect with the 4 gold medals. So yeah, also in my age now with the 38, it's very difficult to be better, but I try to keep my level and to repeat my success. But yeah, 4 gold medals from Tokyo will be very, very difficult to repeat. So that's why I would be very happy if I could win maybe 1 gold medal. Would be nice.
How do you manage to do such different disciplines? Because between the 100, the 800 and the marathon is very different.
Yeah, it's different, but for us in wheelchair racing, it's very usual that we do middle and long distance. So and also it helps that the marathon is in the end of the competitions, so that's very helpful. And also we have some rest days between the disciplines. It's also very helpful. But yeah, for us in wheelchair racing, we are used to have different disciplines, because also in the marathon you need to be able to, like doing a sprint like an 800, but also in the 800 you need the skills from a marathon, so you need the endurance as a basis. So yeah, both together fits together.
Do you have different wheelchairs for the different distances?
No, I have the same wheelchair for the track races and the marathon, but I have different tires.
Okay. What's the difference?
The difference is the tires for the marathon is more robust. Is it the right word? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This year you decided to write on a blog about your thoughts about the competition, the medias too. Why did you decide to do that now and not maybe before?
Yeah, that was an idea that I had already long time ago. It was in my mind, and some topics also came through my mind, and I wrote it down long time ago. And then this year I had the idea to make a blog, because I thought for me it's time now to make it maybe public. So yeah, now I'm quite successful athlete, and think maybe now I have a voice to hear. And for me now it felt right. Before it was not feeling right for me. It was maybe, I don't know, I was not comfortable or not too successful enough, I don't know, but yeah, now it was the time.
As you said, you are 38 now, and how do you cope with physical situation? I think most of the people feel declining physical ability at your age, so how do you cope with such situation?
I'm not sure if I understood.
So as you said, you are 38 years old now, so how do you cope with such situation? I mean, most people feel declining the physical ability.
I think to become 38 or being 38 is on one hand it's difficult, because it's more you need to train very hard to keep that level. But I'm very lucky that I never had accidents or injuries or something like this. So that's very helpful. And also I think it's helpful that because with every year, with every competition you have, you get more experience. That's very helpful. Maybe I become more calm, more relaxed. That's good.
And a last question, what do you think about the village, about the accessibility in the village? Is it good for you?
Yes, I really like the village. It's very nice. I feel very comfortable here. It's good, accessible. I mean, the people here, the volunteers, they're so nice. They're very helpful. They're very nice.
Thank you.
Japanese players targeting you. Can you say
to Japanese athletes? Yes. Oh yes, of course. I like to compete against the Japanese athletes, but I also like them as a person. I compete in Japan every year in marathons in Tokyo, in Oita. And yes, they have a lot of good athletes in Japan. Also they're good in developing racing chairs. So yeah, Japan is a really good country for wheelchair racing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, hello everyone.
Hello. So we have 3 questions. Sorry.
Is that true that in your garden you have an image of the invalid for you to prepare yourself?
It's in my man cave. Yes, where I practice indoors. I got a picture there. So I was here
for the Olympics. So I saw the venue with the crowd and everything like that. But before the games, so like last year I came here and spent a couple hours at the venue with the IPC who was in control of the venue. So I got to visualize, I got to see on paper what it was going to look like. I got to smell the grass and the trees. And so when I got back, that was the one thing I wanted to do, because mental prep in our sport is the biggest thing. That separates the best from the better, is how well you're mentally prepared.
How has your role changed from Paralympics to Paralympics?
I was newbie, rookies, things like that, and now I'm one of the veterans on the team. So a lot of the newbies, or the rookies we call them, ask lots of questions, and I do my best to just be like, it's okay, just have fun. Remember that you're here, and no matter what the outcome is, it's to enjoy the moment. And then there's such a great platform here to tell your story and spread the word about what is possible with people with disabilities and what they can overcome. And I stress that a lot with them, and I'm hoping they're having a good time no matter what the outcome is.
Any good practical jokes?
I got lots of them. Like the other day, I was like, knock, knock, and someone was like, who's there? I'm like, not me. And they're like, what? I was like, because I got no arms. And they're like, oh, that's so dumb. I was like, that's my dad jokes. But anyway. Then the other day, someone's like, tell me your famous dad, or knock, knock, or dad jokes. And I was like, what happens when I fall down? They're like, what? I'm like, my face hurts. Because my arms... down there. She's like, oh, that's dumb. I'm like, oh, you asked for a dumb joke.
You know quite France very well, or have you ever traveled there?
Paris specifically, this is my third time this year being here, and then I was here once last year, so 4 times in the last 8 or 9 months. So I'm very familiar with it now. It's very beautiful. I love the food. I love what Paris represents, and in my opinion, it's been a long time since we've had people in the stands cheering. For me, it would have been 2016. So I'm already vibing and feeling the vibe of Paris about how great it's going to be. Buying tickets for my family to my own venue was extremely tough because it sold out in like an hour. And I'm like texting people like, I can't even get my family into my own venue. And yeah, we were able to figure it out or whatever, but that's huge. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to compete in front of everybody.
Your sons will be here?
Yeah, my family for the first time. In fact, I'm a little sad because this is the first time they're getting on a plane that in like a couple hours to fly over. So I don't be there with that experience. And it's the first time of them leaving the country. So, but look, it's Paris. What's the best place to bring them? I might as well bring them to Paris, right?
Is that true that there is nothing that you cannot do actually in the quotidian life, in the daily life? Is that true, yeah?
I'm laughing because there's actually one thing I can't do. Dishes. Yes, dishes are tough for... No. I tell everybody, dishes, vacuuming, and laundry. I don't know how to do that. But the reality is there's nothing I came across that I can't do. I've always been able to figure it out. Even if it takes me a little longer to do it, I can still do what everybody else can do. Yeah.
Do you make some competition this year, or what was the last time you competed?
I've shot 3 U.S. events this year, and that was it. So I'm having a little bit of hip issues. It's sore and it's been that way for several years. It's because of overuse of the leg on how I shoot. So I basically am just in baby mode to take care of it. That way when I'm here, so I didn't do a lot of extra archery events over practice just to kind of preserve the leg for this week.
What do you think about the opening ceremony? I mean, it will be held in the middle of the Paris city. So
yeah.
How do you think about it?
I'm excited because, first of all, my kids get to be there. So we all get to be there for this. And so for the first time as an athlete, I'm not walking. I'm going to be in the stands with my family, which is amazing. So to see it from that perspective and to be able to cheer on my teammates as they come in with my family around, I think it's going to be amazing. Yeah.
What do you hope the legacy of this game is? Because we're back.
We're back.
We're wide open.
We're back. We're wide open. You know, the whole world has come together after what the whole world went through, right? You think of Tokyo. I remember going into the stadium and there was nobody there. You go into the parade, there's nobody in the stands. And I think this is a celebration of what, as a world, as if we can all just come together, what we can actually accomplish and get through, you know, because at the end of the day, we're all people, right? And this is a perfect celebration of that. I don't know. I think it's going to be the best games. Whether I podium or not, it's going to be one of the best games I've ever been to.
Are you interested by the presidential debates in America?
No, I'm not following any of that stuff right now. My focus is making memories, because it's probably going to be my last game. So that's my focus right now, and I'll worry about that stuff when I get back.
Do you have any huge expectation towards LA 28? Because I don't think parasport is popular in the United States.
Honestly, I think it's still going to be amazing for LA. It's the first time that I can think of, for me, when I started following the Paralympics, that it's going to be held in the United States. But if I remember right, I was told that LA, we've had it in LA before, the games. Do you remember what year?
Paralympics.
But just not Paralympics in '84. Yeah. So I think it's going to be huge. I think they can learn a lot from Paris, and as long as they take some of the things from Paris that are working really good and translate that into LA, I think it's going to be good too. Yeah.
You are very popular all over the world. Is that difficult to stay simple with all that? When you are so popular, I mean, to stay as you were 15 years ago?
I don't look at myself as famous or popular. I look at what I'm doing is me just living my life and what I would hope everybody else would want to, in my position, live their life as. And so for me, it's an opportunity to spread the word about the Paralympics. It's okay. About the Paralympics and what, like I said earlier, what things people can do with disabilities. And so that's how I look at it, not about famous or popularity or anything like that. So. Okay, we good?
One last question.
Sure. So besides the hip, how are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. Mentally, I'm probably the most prepared for this games than I've been at any games before. Because of the mental training that I've had and the visualizations I've been doing for 8 months. When I walked out on the stage yesterday to go practice, I'm like, I've been here for 8 months already. Like it just felt home. It felt home, and I don't know how to express that to people, but when you feel at home, you do your best. And even though we're across the ocean or whatever, it still feels home.
Did you try the muffins?
Oh yeah, we don't talk about muffins because.
Did you try them?
I've had like one every day, and I don't eat chocolate much at all. So like I'm just like I gotta have another muffin.
Sorry, we have to wrap. Thank
you.
Okay,
Thank you guys.
Good luck.
Absolutely. Thank you.